Hello, this is Cami Cook and welcome to my case study for EDL 850. I am going to start tonight by summarizing the case that has been given to us. The school is a K through 8 school and the name of it is St. Regis. It's a rural school with about 420 students and about 25 miles from a big city. I currently am at a pretty small school about 20 minutes from a big city also. So that was kind of a fun fact for me to put myself into this case study and truly get a lot out of it. Our annual budget at St. Regis is very limited and it only allows for the basics. I am the principal, Mr. Sample, and I've been at St. Regis for 3 years, and within my 3 years, there's been a big push for the fundraising and for PTA to get together to get as much emerging technology that we can for our school because we are pretty lacked on the technology. Mrs. Lynn is my librarian and she is also in charge of the computer lab. She has gone against copyright restrictions to save money, but has reproduced multiple copies without permission of certain software and distribute it for students and teachers to use in their classroom. Another teacher has come to me. Her name is Mrs. Brandon, and she has transferred from another district, and she's very aware of the copyright laws and does not agree with the reproduction that has happened. And she has expressed her concern and really would like for it to be stopped, the actions to be stopped, and for some discipline to be also taken. I did meet with Mrs. Lynn and she understands that making the copies do go against the copyright laws, but she doesn't understand what the big deal is, knowing that we're such a small school and saying that nobody is going to come to our district and find out, or nobody is going to call on us. And the PTA president, Miss Evans, knows about this reproduction that was happening. She even helped with it, and she thinks it's a very great idea because it's saving the district a lot of money. I'm going to report the facts and tell you what is happening so far. Miss Lynn, the school librarian, has reproduced illegal copies of the software program and distributed them to the classroom teachers. This took place at St. Regis School in the library, and it was also used. She also used the school computers, and the school purchased flash drives unknowingly for this to also take place. I am involved. I am the principal, and at this time I'm just trying to gather as much information as I can and do a little bit of research on the most up-to-date copyright laws. Miss Lynn is our librarian. Again, her attitude is she does not see that anything was done wrong, and Miss Brandon is the 3rd grade teacher who understands the copyright laws and doesn't quite understand why we are allowing this to happen in our school. And again, Miss Evans is our PTA president who also helped volunteer and make these reproductions happen. Legal and ethical issues that have happened so far. Nobody has been physically harmed or injured in this case, but Mrs. Lynn has violated copyright laws, and the violations are since the copyright, or since the software is copyright, it does have licensing restrictions, and therefore we definitely are violating a Copyright Act. Since the software has not been placed in the public domain, it is protected, and therefore we need to abide by those laws, especially now, the principal, myself, now that I know what is happening, I need to stop this illegal duplication from being distributed to the teachers and staff, because it is not, we do not have documentation that we have permission to do this by the software company. Was there a breach of contract? As of right now, I have not formally requested to terminate Miss Lynn's contract. Therefore, a breach has not happened, and I have not formally written her up right now. I'm going to synthesize exactly what has happened in a single sentence. The school librarian has reproduced illegal copies of software programs and distributed to teachers to use them in their classrooms, which is a violation of copyright laws. Now I'm going to synthesize the facts. this chart just kind of tells you the people that are involved with the unknowns and the places, and the program also with knowns and unknowns. So the people involved again are Miss Lynn, the librarian. I don't know how long she has been a library media specialist and how long she has been within the district. I am the principal, and I have been with St. Regis for 3 years. The 3rd grade teacher, Miss Brandon, is a veteran teacher but is transferred from another district, and Miss Evans is our PTA president. It's also unknown how long Miss Evans has been the PTA president and if she has any school background. So I would be interested to find out if this is one of those cases where she's been the PTA president forever and it's just a case of this is just how we do it here and this has always been done. Or if she's brand new and doesn't have any school background, never been a teacher, or doesn't have any education background, doesn't have a husband that's been on the school board, those kinds of things, to kind of have some background knowledge of those laws and policies that have to be in place. The place is our school, St. Regis, with 420 students. We are a K-8 building in a very rural, small community. I could be assumed that the norms of St. Regis, we have minimal resources coming in. If students and parents or students and teachers need the bare minimum, we are allowed to do that. But after that, our hands are tied and our budget is pretty full already. The unknowns is we don't know what state it's in, and I also don't know the demographic data of our school. The program that this happened within was the Library Media Center and the Computer Lab, and they're kind of combined right now. It's used by the entire K-8 students and staff, and for the last 3 years, the PTA and school faculty have agreed to use the money from fundraising to purchase 20 new computers, and we're just going to kind of add more computer software and computer technology as we get the money available. The unknown is I don't know if there is a curriculum that the library media specialist uses during her time with the kids in the library, or if there's a computer curriculum or goals that go along with the computer lab. We don't really know any of the rules that the computer lab entails, and I don't know if any training has been done with the teachers as far as what they're supposed to be doing in the computer lab, or if it's an extension to what they're doing in their classroom. Section 5, review and prioritize the information. And at this time, I just answered some questions about this case study. Could the conflict, the solution, or the decision be damaging to stakeholders or the community? And I absolutely think so. Yes, this is a conflict, and if it does not get resolved, a lawsuit could possibly be in result, and obviously, any lawsuit or grievance to the school can tarnish the reputation of the school, or even sometimes the whole community when we're talking about such a small community. Also, if staff and students and stakeholders find out about this, they could be embarrassed that the illegal action was indeed taking place within their school, and either nothing was done about it or something was done about it. So yes, this definitely could be damaging to the stakeholders and our community. What individual groups are important for the outcome? And I think that that is up to the administrative team, the teachers that are involved. I even need to include the PTA president and at least some PTA leaders. The school board needs to be in communication with what is happening, and possibly even following the chain of command to talk to our school lawyers to see if anything legally needs to be put in place. What I need to learn about right now before I make a decision is I need to study up on the latest copyright laws. With technology always evolving, there's copyright laws and certain policies that are also always evolving. So right now I just need to be up on the latest copyright laws and know exactly what software copyright policies are out there to date. I think that the superintendent needs to be notified of the illegal activity that has happened, and then following the chain of command and seeing if the superintendent thinks that the attorney, our school attorney, should be notified. Do I think I have enough to make the information to make this decision? And I do think that I do. Now I'm going to identify options and possible consequences Option 1 is pretty bland. I am not going to make a decision. I'm not going to take action. I'm just going to allow Mrs. Lynn to continue copying the software. This allows the school to save money, and the students and teachers are able to still have access to the technology. Option 2 is my most extreme option. I'm going to take action against Mrs. Lynn. I could possibly fire her. I will possibly allow the copyright fines to happen. And I will also have her destroy all of the software that has been copied, and I could possibly write her up. So this is very dramatic. This is way on the other end of the spectrum. I'm going to take action against Mrs. Lynn. And option 3, I'm going to develop a plan. I will work with the board and the superintendent to make a policy to put in place in regards of copyright laws and policies. I will provide professional development to my whole staff regarding copyright policies, and then I will also contact the software author to gain permission to continue to use the software that has illegally been copied, and then with the understanding, knowing that I will probably have to have a payment plan in place so we can continue to use that. I would not expect to be able to use that for free. Now I'm going to evaluate my options, and with option 1, not making a decision at all, there's obviously some pros. It's the easy way out. The staff can continue to use the software. We can obviously save money, but there's some cons, and they are big ones. My colleagues will see that an illegal action is taking place, and it was overlooked by administration and leaders, which I think is a big no-no. We need to make sure we set that legal and ethical morals and standards very high in our schools. And also a possible lawsuit could happen, and the school could be responsible for paying very large fines if nothing is done in option 1. Option 2, I could take legal action against Mrs. Lynn, and the school would not be liable for any of the legal behavior because I have taken that off and put that on her. And I could set an example, a very strict example for the other staff. If you do anything wrong, you are going to be fired. Something that could go wrong, a con for this, is a grievance can be filed against the school or myself because I did not provide, I had a lack of professional development regarding our policy and laws, and there wasn't a policy or a law in place currently. The teachers and students would also not have the software available to them anymore. Option number 3, develop a plan. The pros are I could prevent this from happening again, and then Mrs. Lynn and Mrs. Brandon both would feel heard and understood by creating and developing a plan. The cons to this would be it would be very time consuming. Policies aren't just implemented overnight. I would need to do my research and create a policy, and it's very costly if we have to buy out the software that has been indeed copied. The best option that I have is option 3. This allows growth within my administration team and teachers within the school. We've identified a problem, and we could use this as a learning opportunity. Myself as the principal, since a policy has not been put into place, I could help my administrative team put one into place, and I could put a professional development plan in place regarding copyright laws. I could make that a priority and make sure that all staff is up to date on that knowledge. All stakeholders have been included in the making decisions. I have included the board members, the admin team, school lawyers if we needed to, the superintendent, and we all agree that a policy does need to be implemented. So therefore we are going to go with that in step 1. Option 3 includes 3 things. Number 2, I'm also going to contact the software company and see what I can do on my end to continue using the illegally copied software, but assume that I will have to come up with the funds to indeed pay for that. And number 3, I will continue to work with PTA and utilize any of the fundraising efforts to purchase more technology. And I will also include the PTA leaders and president in our professional development. They will definitely be invited so we can kind of make a team effort for this from going on. Imagine implementing my decision. The steps that I'm going to take are I'm going to go to the superintendent and see about implementing a policy for copyright laws. Then I will provide my staff with professional development regarding the copyright. And then last, again, I will contact the software company to see what we can do. Some steps that I'm going to take is I will research other district policies. My superintendent really likes when we go to him with an example, so I'm going to make sure that I research other board policies of maybe some smaller rural schools around me and see what they're doing so we can give an example to what we need to have in our building in place. Then I will create a professional development plan for the entire year that covers several topics. I found some online learning options, maybe have some lawyers come in and give examples of extreme cases of what could happen if those copyright laws are violated, and then some ideas and tips on how to make sure we eliminate any of this from happening again. So I'll create a plan for the entire year, and it won't just be one, hey, here's a big professional development on why, copyright rules and what not to do. It will be a year-long plan that will encompass a lot of different strategies. And then I will work with the PTA and board clerk to assure that the software can continue to be used, but we will also pay for it. Likely outcomes, new policy will be drafted and implemented. My goal would be within a year. I understand that policies don't just happen quick, so we need to make sure we put a reasonable time frame on that. The staff will become more educated, hopefully, about laws and policies regarding copyright, and the students and staff will be able to continue to use the software that they are using right now. Some consequences that may come from this is Mrs. Lynn will feel like maybe the policy and the professional development that is happening all of a sudden will be implemented just because of her. So I need to make sure to have those one-on-one, face-to-face conversations with her and let her know how important it is. Some staff will feel like the PD is irrelevant and not necessary because I have that group that thinks that we won't get caught and we're such a small school, so I need to address that. And then the software company could require a lot of money and it could be very taxing on us. So we need to be very upfront and honest about how many copies we have, but then also have a plan to pay for them. I think that I can deal with the people involved, Mrs. Lynn. I just need to make sure to have those face-to-face conversations showing her examples of copyright laws and, the infringements. And I will be very respectful when I have these conversations with her, and it won't be just one meeting. I think that I will have to follow up and assure that she does not feel attacked, but rather more educated and supported in this area. With the software company, this is where I think I may need outside help with my superintendent or board clerk. I'll make that first initial phone call, but they might have to speak on my behalf for the arrangement that we have for the reimbursements. I want to make sure that I'm not warning, that I'm not threatening. During my meeting with Mrs. Lynn and Mrs. Evans, I will bring her in also, but I will remember the concepts when dealing with adults and consequences. It all starts around relationships. So I want to make sure that I've already created a positive working environment and positive working conditions that I can have those tough conversations. Again, I want to feel like I've supported her and apologized for not having these policies set in place and give her support when she needs it. And then we'll reflect and have discussions as often as we need to. If plan A does not work, plan B would just calling in the superintendent to talk to Mrs. Lynn. And if she still is under the impression that I am overreacting by making her stop using this software, then we may have to write her up or indeed terminate her because it is legally and ethically wrong to allow her to continue. The standards are 6.0 and 6.3, and during this case study, I learned the importance of evaluating and communicating the policies and laws, especially during copyright, and I quickly saw that it was illegal, and ethically wrong to allow Mrs. Lynn to do that, so I wanted to put a stop to all the production and copying from that point on. I analyzed our school policy and determined that we didn't have one in place, so I wanted to make sure that that was covered, and I worked with the leadership team to create a professional development calendar that would allow me to educate my staff, and last but not least, just making sure that the staff is aware of the copyright laws that are happening, and that technology is constantly changing. So we want to make sure that I am on top as a building leader. I am on top of the most relevant copyright laws and regulations that are out there. Here are my references, and thank you so much for listening. I learned a lot from this case study, and it was very relevant.